Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 201 of the Hoots podcast. I don't know if we're going to keep going by number chronicles as this journey goes on. Let's just say we're in the beginning of chapter 2. Welcome, everybody, to the Hoots podcast, or the podcast that Hoots.
There you go.
Here's truly the one and only Joshie Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hoots podcast. I'm also on Instagram, Joshie, Joshie Lopez 94. Also at Josh Lopez Music if you want to see me play some fun guitar covers. You know what? Since we're continuing to do shows with each other, I think sooner or later we got to put on a musical performance, if you will. For the
I don't know how the delay would work on that, but it could be fun.
We got some good microphones. At least we have that for us.
I mean, at some point I can go get a drum pad and just play some beats on my pad. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that today on the podcast that Hoots. Who knows?
Right.
Right.
The voice you hear right there is the director of operations, the one and only Brother Carter. What's going on, my man?
What's going on, everybody? Good to see you as always, Brother Adam. When was the last time you and I did 3-4 shows back to back? It's been a while.
Universal chatter.
Jeez, that's crazy. I know. God, those were the days, man. Those were good times. But good to be back, Josh. Hoping that we can provide the power of positivity, to quote the day that is new, because of the power of positivity to the world in what has been a crazy 24 hours in the world of professional wrestling. It's just, and I'm sure we're gonna get all that, but get into all that. But just, we want to invoke the power of positivity to the people, because chances are people are listening to this podcast not to hear us rant about negative stuff. They want to hear positivity, because there's enough wrestling podcasts that deal with all that negative crap. So we're going to deal with the positive here on the show. But good to be back as always, and good to see you, Brother Adam. Nice beanie, by the way. You're good strategy for the.
Since we're on camera here on the YouTube channel, by the way, make sure you subscribe to the Hoots Podcast YouTube channel as well if you want to check us there. And I also have old interviews that I did back in the Pro Wrestling Experience days on there as well, if you guys want to check that out. Think about this. There's a great line that Xavier Woods has. POP, hold it down. That's also a little synonym for power of positivity. It's crazy. Last week was such a celebratory mood and just general good vibes again. And I just want to thank everybody who took the time to check out last week's special 200th episode of the Hoots podcast, to have Brother Carter, to have Matt on the show. That little run-in towards the end of the show, that was pretty cool. And just the general feedback, get to listen to the show back, the submissions I got from Matt, from Ant, from Sam Piopo, shout out to you, good brother, to my main guy, Jonathan Hood. Make sure you check out his Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday podcast. This podcasting community is about brotherhood, and I think there should be more synergy throughout these type of channels, and just some general positivity. And it's not a sin to promote other people's work, and we come on here to provide an outlet. Like Brother Carr said, it's a positive escape. We can crack some jokes. We'll have some serious discussions here and there, but all in all, I just want to say that we're here to make you feel better, because I can tell as somebody who deals with depression, it can get challenging at times when you're stuck in a particular environment, not only just where you're at, but just in your head, more importantly. And I don't think the mental aspect is talked about enough when it comes to what's going on with this unfortunate COVID-19 pandemic. And obviously we send our salutes to every first responder that's been an absolute hero in every sense of the word during this time period. So my thoughts with everybody that unfortunately lost family members. I saw that Carl Anthony Towns lost his mother over COVID-19, and it's just very, very sad. So my thoughts are with everybody that's going on. Well, let's hit the elephant in the room. There's been a very, very, last week we were just celebratory mood, and we're recapping WrestleMania, and we're having fun with what WrestleMania 36 was at the Performance Center. This week now, not only we got to deal with this COVID-19 stuff, we got daily press conferences at the White House that go absolutely nowhere. We got releases going on, and I guess we started off with this. Unfortunately, this morning we found out that the greatest, at least in my opinion, the greatest professional wrestling ring announcer of all time, Howard Finkel, passed away today at the age of 69. For those who know that the Fink has been dealing with some medical issues over the last couple years, hence why he hasn't been seen frequently at a WrestleMania or some of these shows for WWE. But I think Stephanie McMahon pointed out that Howard Finkel is the first ever employee of WWF/WWE once Vince took the company over from his dad. And I have a personal story that I'm going to share with the Fink, and we can share some memories and this and that, but it's sad. And, you know, we have wrestlers and anybody that's in the business that deal with lingering health issues. I always feel a little sense of peace for the fact that they're no longer in pain.
Sure.
Wow, this is sad. We lost an amazing person. You know, pro wrestling is not the most morally correct industry in the world when it comes to particular people, but I never heard one bad thing about Howard Finkel, and that's just the person he was. Whether he was doing ring announcing or he was doing the digital work for WWE.com. I remember when I was in high school, I would always go to him and pick his brain for the predictions articles they would do prior for every pay-per-view.
Right.
And I just recently watched his Hall of Fame speech, which you check out. It's 2009 when the Fink got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in Houston, I think it was, right? Houston, Texas. That was that weekend in the Reliant Stadium. Man, every time I think about Texas, I just gotta shake my head because of Bill O'Brien, but that's another show for me.
Come on. Hey, I spent 15 years in Texas, pal. Texas is very...
Watch that tone, pal. Anyways, what I was trying to say is that this guy lived and breathed WWE. He loved every single fan, and I got a little story that I'm gonna share later on. But Brett Carter, just your general, you have any favorite memories of Fink, and what did the Fink mean to you in your childhood growing up?
Well, you know, for me, it was, I mean, the most, you said it exactly right. The most iconic wrestling voice of all time, the greatest professional ring announcer that's ever lived. No question. You know, and I think he's really been the standard bearer for how to be a good ring announcer.
Yes.
Forward, and just his inflection of certain words, and, you know, whenever there's a new champion, you know, like that, you put the emphasis on that, and now everybody does it. So I don't think I have one favorite Fink moment. I think it's just hearing those iconic calls after the iconic title changes take place, or like when Warrior beat Hogan at WrestleMania 6, and then it was, and the new Wrestling Federation champion, you know, and then it's just that iconic voice is incredible. Seeing him come back, and I'm sure, Josh, it was nice for him to come back as CM Punk's personal ring announcer.
Yeah.
Cool. And just, yeah, it's just seeing how, you know, much he enjoyed the business, and like you said, he was beloved by all. You know, and I know he had some health problems. I think he had a stroke a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
and was declining after that. So it's not surprising, but it's very sad at the same time. And, you know, we certainly wish all our best to the Finkel family during this difficult time. But no, I'll never forget that iconic voice. It just brings back so many wonderful memories of great moments, and why I became a wrestling fan in my childhood.
I think every wrestling fan in their own way has once in their life gone like, the following contest is scheduled for one fall.
That's pretty good.
All right, man. That was a running joke that me and my buddy Alex, the guy I started these shows with, we always do that. We'd be like, I would do the Fink, and Alex would do Vince McMahon, the announcer voice. Welcome to WWF Superstars.
Right. Pretty good.
So I love the Fink. So here's my story. In 2013, WWE started doing a little thing where, believe it or not, they try to interact with their fans, right? They started this little thing called Hangouts. Mm-hmm. You guys know what Google Hangouts are. That's what we used to record these shows on.
Right.
WWE had their own special Google Hangouts. And first it was hosted by, I think, Matt Stryker, and then the Fink host a couple of episodes. They put a link out. Anybody wanted to apply or just be a panelist for one of the shows, you could do that through WWE.com. I just turned 19. This is May of 2013. I shared the link on my Twitter at the Hoots Podcast. In May of 2013, before the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, I had the honor and the privilege again to be part of one of those WWE Hangout shows. Check it out on YouTube. It's WWE Hangout with Layla, the former diva and female wrestler. She was the guest for that episode. I want to give a shout out to Mike Giacchio, who was the digital guy that helped. It's funny. We're recording this, right? And I'm 19 at the time. I didn't have a microphone like this. My internet connection back then sucked ass.
Right.
Thank God I didn't have the birds in the background.
That's true. Oh, God. Can you imagine that being on broadcast for everybody of the birds?
Yeah, think about that. Shit. Woo, woo, woo.
Was that the inspiration for the Hoots podcast, Josh? You just wanted to pay homage to your birds?
I need to tread lightly right now because I got a great day and I don't want to get her excited.
Fair enough.
Anyways, I was saying I didn't have the proper equipment that I have right now, and I was in a really different state mentally and emotionally wise. I think I already talked about it to death, but I got the opportunity. Mike reached out to me. He's like, hey, you could be on with the Fink, and Layla would make predictions for Extreme Rules. All this fun stuff, right? We got to record the show for 45 minutes. I got to be introduced a little bit about how the WWE digital team works. They talked to us about it for like 20 minutes before we recorded the show. Then we talked to Fink for another 5 to 10 minutes. And I got to tell the Fink that I was just starting to attend broadcasting school. And I told him that JR and him were the voices of my childhood and got me hooked into wrestling in the first place. And I won't share the advice that the Fink gave to me. I'm going to keep that to myself. But just some of the words he gave to me after we recorded that Hangout show really touched me in a lot of ways. And he knows that I had a lot of passion for what was going on with wrestling. And just, it's funny when when you're like into like stats and history and stuff, like some family members will call you a Rain Man because you just have like a photographic memory of all this stuff that's going on. And it was a little fun little banter that me and the Fink had after we were done recording that show. And you mentioned there that moment where the Fink came out for Survivor Series 2011, the Punk Del Rio WWE title match. And I was marking out, man. Obviously, I'm biased. CM Punk's my guy. And you get to see the Fink come out there in Madison Square Garden. The guy who, by the way, created the WrestleMania name.
Right, that's right.
The guy who came up with WrestleMania. The guy who was the first ring announcer, the first voice you heard. No, was it Vince that started the first voice to WrestleMania? I think he was. I think it was Vince that's like, welcome to WrestleMania. I think
he did that, but then but Fink actually
he came up with the name.
He pitched the original concept of WrestleMania to Vince. Like, let's make our Super Bowl and call it WrestleMania. And
right. Mm-hmm.
And now obviously it's become a global phenomenon.
Yeah, the Fink was the first ring announcer for WrestleMania in this era of WWE, and for to have that moment back again in the Garden, you saw the emotion in his eyes. Obviously, you got a little funny banter in the background. I remember hearing Cole like sighing or whatever, but he was the heel commentator at the time.
Right.
But that was just a very special moment for the Fink. And I was actually watching some of the Hall of Fame like segments they would do at WrestleMania just to reflect on the Fink, because he would do that when he wasn't a full-time ring announcer. Mm-hmm. And then he was a big mentor, obviously, for Justin Roberts, Lillian Garcia, Tony Chimmel,
sure.
Just generally everybody that was a ring announcer, even Brandy Rhodes for her time when she was a ring announcer.
Well, I'm sure even to today's, to like Tom Rome. No,
Mike Rome, great.
Yeah. I was like Mike Rome. I was like, that sounds like, for a second I thought I was like Jim Rowe, and I'm like, that's not right. I know it's not Jim Rowe.
Thank God it's not Jim Rowe.
Mike Rome and Tom Phillips, because I was thinking Mike Tom because of the whole Jericho, Tom and Mike and Tom. So
that was
Mike Rome, yeah.
You know what was funny things about just remember about the Fink was the impressions that Luke Gallows would do with the Fink. There's an interview. I forgot what podcast it was, but Luke Gallows recalled the time where he got called up from, I think it was OVW up to the main roster, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, he gets a phone call from Stepper. Hello? Is this Luke Gallows? And get ready for your flight. Anyways, the Fink was giving Luke Gallows the travel plans because Fink would be in charge of that for town. So they tell him, okay, you go to this place, you go to this rental car place, you go to this airport. Right. And just the way Luke Gallows would do the impressions of the Fink, which is always on point, man. I can't do the impression that Luke does, but his is just top notch. You'll be taking on Kane. So
I can check that out because I think it was on. It's probably on YouTube, isn't it?
It's on YouTube. I think it was when Sam Roberts had one of those like live shows during SummerSlam weekend, and it was Gallows and Anderson were the guests on that. So you guys can go check it out on YouTube. So with that said, man, my heart and thoughts and everything, my condolences go out to the entire Finkel family, like Brother Carter said. And you'll be missed, Fink. Definitely the GOAT of ring announcers of all time. And even more importantly, a better person. Absolutely. And we'll miss you, man. So I don't want to make it too somber today. I want to split it up a little bit because we do have a lot of important stuff that we need to talk about today. But, I usually never talk about this show this early, but let's talk about Dynamite.
Okay, yeah. I'm down to watch Dynamite. I watched Dynamite last night.
Let's talk about Dynamite and NXT last night. By the way, folks, make sure to check out ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. That's my baby. That's my website where I do the play-by-play articles. I got a new segment that we're going to be introducing in the next couple of weeks where I give you like 5 matches to watch from the week. This is something I should have been doing for a while since I do cover all these different brands. This is a little opportunity to say, hey, these are matches that really stood out for me from a technical point of view. If you're that type of fan, here you go. It's like top 5 matches a week, something like that. I don't know if we'll do it this week, but honestly, everything with this whole pandemic, it's so fluid, so you don't even know what could be a top 5 list. So let's get to Dynamite and NXT. I want to start off with this because they've been hyping up this Jon Moxley Jake Hager match for weeks on end. I think they did like 6 different vignettes of predictions, and awesome. You could pull up Ron Funches, you could pull in Ariel Helwani. That's cool. Well, that's fine. Cool.
Good mainstream publicity for AEW, which is good. That's what they need.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing at all. My thing is, man, the hype for this was so much to the fact they were trying to make Jake Hager look as close to Brock Lesnar as possible. And the irony for what we saw last night was basically the same match with the exception of kendo sticks that Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose had at WrestleMania 32. I put this on Twitter today, and I'm going to mention here on the podcast. Moxley publicly, after leaving WWE, lamented about how Brock Lesnar conducted himself during their program heading into WrestleMania 32, and the fact that Brock didn't want to do any dives or any crazy spots. And Mox made that a big deal. Like he went on a big tangent about it on Wade Keller's show. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Wade loved that because that's the type of content he lives and thrives for. Anything for behind the scenes drama, right, pal? So I just found it very ironic that you have all this hype because I remember Brock and Dean were one of the bigger hype matches going into that WrestleMania.
It was in Dallas.
And yeah, it was in Dallas. You and Matt were there for that show, and your brother Scott as well. And here's the thing. Not only did that match disappoint, I know Matt told me that match disappointed him in person as well. I thought this one was a disappointment as well.
Yes.
Now, let me again. These guys had 4 segments on television last night. The match went almost 25 minutes. I'm not saying there weren't good parts in the match, some good physicality parts, but I just thought this match was just flat.
Yeah.
How are you gonna have? I want to try to calm myself down here. How are you gonna have a no holds barred match where 10 minutes of the match are fucking holds? Can somebody explain that to me? If you want to call it an unsanctioned fight, cool. But when you put out the stipulation that this is empty arena and we had 3 weeks to shoot this, I told Derek this last night. I thought they would do some type of cinematic feel where they're fighting in streets and they're fighting in parking lots. Because Moxley was talking about that in the interviews, hyping up. This is the biggest match in AEW history. I saw that all over Twitter yesterday before Dynamite. Biggest match ever. And you just got holds.
Yeah.
Okay, you brawl a little bit around the area, couple cool spots there. Honestly, and I hate saying this at times, but I felt like that match was going through the motions, especially during the first part of that match. No holds bar match, and we're making this a grappling contest.
Really? There was a ring break. They broke the ref forced a break when he grabbed the rope. Like, that's not what a no holds barred match should be.
The best part of what I saw last night was JR's commentary, which is not a shocker. I was talking to my buddy Hoodie last night. He's like, I think it's probably the first time that JR did some solo work on commentary in like 30 years. Hopefully he didn't shit his, shit his pants. Because you can tell he was pumped up for that. But no, man, I just thought the execution of this match was just extra flat. Yeah. If any of these empty arena matches needed the crowd the most, is this one. And I've been consistent with this since the beginning of AEW. Jake Hager has not made one lick of a difference for that show. Cool. You want to be the heavy, the big heater, if you will, for the Inner Circle, fine. I'm not the biggest fan of the Inner Circle, even though I love Jericho and Sammy Guevara. I just think the presentation of LAX has been just off. But again, you're hyping up for 3 weeks, and that's what you give us? Like, come on, man. Mm-hmm. Okay, Moxley retains. Cool. We'll get on to the next thing. But here's this trend about Moxley, man. You get hyped for these matches, and then whether it's the match with Brock or the match with Dolph Ziggler for the WWE title at SummerSlam 2016, I thought it was a good match, but for whatever reason, people in Brooklyn were sitting on their hands. Here's 2 guys. Everybody's like, oh, man, these guys would do so much better if they had better booking. They get a WWE title match at SummerSlam, and everybody's sitting on their hands. And you just feel this sense of disappointment. I don't know when it comes to the point where we could separate the presentation from booking or the performances of what Jon Moxley's doing in the ring. Because for me, I love watching Jon Moxley in New Japan. When I see Jon Moxley in AEW, it's more of the same that I see with Dean Ambrose, except with more cursing. Right. That may upset some people, that may piss some people off, but I'm just speaking from my own point of view. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong either. It's just how I look at it. So what was your thoughts on that match?
Well, as I said before, and Josh, you and I have talked about this a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm with you on Jake Hager, man. Like he's okay, I guess, sort of. I know he was brought in to be the muscle of the Inner Circle and to be Jericho's bodyguard, and fine, all well and good, like you said. Mm-hmm. his job should be to just have a couple matches every now and then, maybe a couple squashes every now and then, just to remain the muscle, and that's fine. Right. But why does he get an AEW championship match? Like, what did he do to deserve an AEW championship match? And I know we usually don't talk about booking on this show, but You're right. We have to talk about this because, what did he do? Is this AEW again just trying to capture, just try to bring back old WWE stars and say, oh, we can book WWE stars better than WWE did? Really? Then why did those matches seem flat? Because I'm with you. Like, the match was like, it was fine. It was, I actually caught myself kind of turning away for a second and just, man. Because, like, when he had him in the figure four around the railing. Right. And I was just like, why are you doing that in a match where there's no people? Like, that would have worked possibly if there was people, because people could have been like, no, right. But that just didn't work there. And then, one of my biggest thing was it was a no holds barred match, but the ref allowed a ring broke. He grabbed the rope. Like,
Right. This is one criticism I had from JR during the match. He's like, hey pal, by God, it's a no holds barred match. Why are you pulling out a steel chair with no crowd?
Oh yeah, that was kind of funny.
No disqualification match. That was the only fucking weapon they used in the match.
I know.
Come on, man.
I know. It was just a weird presentation. Also, if you go back and watch it carefully, I noticed JR's commentary, because they had to dub it in because he's at home.
Yeah,
slightly ahead of.
Yes.
Did you notice? Did anybody else notice that it was slightly ahead of the actual match? And I'm like, you had how many weeks to shoot this and edit it and make sure it was exactly right? And like, somebody didn't catch that? Like, come on, guys. And again, but everybody's hyping up AEW to be like the savior of professional wrestling, and this is what we get. So. But that's WWE's. But somehow their match is going to be WWE's fault because, WWE didn't train them properly, or they'll make they'll make up some excuse to why that's not Ambrose or why that's not Moxley, Hager, AEW's fault. Go ahead.
You got my juices flowing with that comment, because here's something that nobody will say. That match would be considered time filler on the second hour of Raw.
Yes. Absolutely.
But that's the biggest match of AEW's history. Why would I want to watch a show when the majority of your company is so fixated and just curtailed to everything that happens in another company?
Right.
It makes absolutely no sense to me. Right. Yes, WCW is competition, but they also focus on their own fucking product. NWO was around before DX. The Cruiserweights were their own thing.
Right.
Sting. Okay, maybe you want to say Sting's the comparison to Undertaker. Fine. That's another show for another time. But yeah, WCW, what worked about WCW was that it was WCW. Right. Why am I going to watch a product that's so fixated on what's said on Twitter and what Dave Meltzer says and what happens in WWE? Tell me who you are, AEW. That's all I want. I like your show. I love Tony Schiavone with Chris Jericho. I think they're great on commentary. They're hilarious. I really enjoyed the TNT title tournament matches so far. I think Roberts has been really good doing these promos. I dig the Colt Cabana Lance Archer match. Let's see.
Britt Baker, man.
Today, by the way, today is Britt Baker Appreciation Day. Let's give her a standing ovation.
Yeah, bravo. Yeah, Britt Baker. Yeah.
A standing O, as Broken Matt Hardy used to say. No, I got it wrong. It was a standing Woken O.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
I love Britt Baker. She's awesome.
So she was great. Sammy Guevara, I think, had another good match last night. I really like. Would you say that AEW's two people that they're going to bring up from the bottom is going to be Sammy Guevara and MJF?
Let's not forget Darby Allin.
Darby Allin, sorry. Mm-hmm. And Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy is funny, man.
I love it. Every time Orange Cassidy comes out, it's awesome. I love Orange Cassidy.
You know Jericho loves Cassidy, but he just has to bury him while the match is going.
Cassidy's gimmick is just so ridiculous that it works, you know?
Didn't he call Omega a pumpkin-headed dipshit? Jericho's. I'm sorry, I know everybody loves Tony Romo on NFL commentary, but Jericho's the best color analyst in the game right now. No, that's not true. I got to give a shout out to my guy Nigel McGuinness. That's the man.
I don't know, man. I'm still on Morrow.
No, I'm talking about color guys. I'm not talking about play-by-play guys.
Oh, sorry, color guys. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't want this to be misconstrued. I like AEW, but there's one thing for you to tell us that you're an alternative. Show us that you're an alternative. Brody Lee doing Vince McMahon skits. WWE guys find WWE guys for title matches that would be considered filler on a Monday Night Raw episode. Does nothing for your show. And you had 3 weeks for this. There's no excuses for that.
Right.
A no-holds-barred match, and 20% of your match was focused on catch wrestling and chain grappling holds. Dumb.
Right.
But don't call it a fucking empty arena no holds barred match. You're sending a bad message to your audience where you put on these stipulations, and WWE is guilty of this as well. When you give out a stipulation and you don't adhere to the stipulation as well, either have the stipulation or don't. It's not that hard. Let's show a comment here from Mitchell McNeil here real quick. Here we go. You want to be Orange Cassidy too? Don't give me that look.
Actually, that'd be great. So Matt, for those of you that are listening to this, Matt says Derek should be Orange Cassidy for Halloween. Ha ha. I don't know. It'd be easy to do. You know, you just get the sunglasses and the Canadian tuxedo with the denim, and and you're good to go.
All right. Chuck Taylor pull out an interesting match out of Times New Roman font. Kip Sabian.
Okay, but I actually want to talk about this a little bit.
Go ahead.
Because I noticed you call Kip Sabian Times New Roman font, right? He's just very generic. But I started thinking about this, and he's not the only one that you could give that label to.
No, I know that. There's a lot of people, a lot of companies that fit that bill. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And I mean, a couple in WWE that come up to the top of my head are Oney Lorcan. I just watch him and I'm like, nah. Austin Theory. I'm like,
yeah.
Nah. Like what are you doing that?
Ricochet.
Who?
Ricochet.
See, I like Ricochet.
I like Ricochet as a former. I'm just talking about character.
Oh, character. Yeah, right. Yeah. Cedric Alexander, same thing. They're very kind of so, but I like how you give at least Kip. I mean, yes, Kip Sabian is very generic. The only thing for me that makes Kip Sabian not generic is Penelope Ford.
That's not a positive for him, though.
No, I understand. I understand that, but it at least gives something a small little addition to his character is the Penelope Ford angle. None of those other Times New Roman performers, and again. I like Ricochet a lot. Like, to me, Ricochet is a brilliant ring tactician. So is Cedric Alexander. I'm and we'll get into WWE later a little bit, but yeah. So it's Kip Sabian did well. Chuck Taylor, they had a good match. I know that a lot of the focus was on Orange Cassidy, but I thought it was a good match last night. A great product overall last night. By the way, I also want to talk about Sammy Guevara and his opponent. What is it, a Sugar D or something like that?
Pineapple Pete.
Pineapple Pete. He was actually very entertaining too.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is cool. Like, he's trying to do some funny, goofy stuff. So I thought that was a good match last night too.
Yeah. I thought it was a solid episode of Dynamite. I wouldn't say it was great or anything like that, but I thought it was a good episode.
Right. I'm looking forward to Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin renewing their rivalry next week.
Is Time News Roman fighting Dustin Rhodes?
I think so, yes.
That's the other tournament match we got.
We have 2 next week.
And then we got Sean Spears. 10.
He keeps calling himself the chairman. I know you're reaching here, but I would just love, just at some point, for La Parka to come out and with the chair. I loved La Parka growing up, calling himself the chairman of WCW. So I just want to see La Parka come out and just smack him, hit
him like the don't they have a GIF of La Parka hitting Disco Inferno with a steel chair?
Yeah, I would love to see that, or put somebody up in a La Parka suit or something like that. If you don't want to use La Parka, I think that'd be great.
There's another comment for Matt. I watched the match with no sound. It was straight awful. Yikes.
Is Matt talking about the
Hager Moxley match? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I figured.
Shout out to everybody who's watching the video so far. We do appreciate it. Make sure to comment in the comment section as we record this live on a Thursday. It's April 16, 2020. And you got my brother Carter here, and you got yours truly, Joshie. By the way, I got a cool story that I want to do at the end of the podcast, but I'm saving it for now. I think people are gonna like it. So going into NXT, this is the takeaways I had from NXT last night. I thought NXT was really good from top to bottom last night. Started off with Finn Balor taking on Fabian Eichner of Imperium. I love Imperium. Just the presentation of that faction and what they are. I'm biased because NXT UK is my favorite WWE show right now, and I just love the ring general.
Awesome. Ring general. Oh, he's great.
I love Imperium, and Eichner and Barthel are a very underrated tag team. I will say that for sure. But anyways, they had a singles match with Finn Balor. You usually know how the drill is when you have a top guy going against another guy that has faction members, so he's going to run through the other side members of the group, right? But it didn't make Fabian Eichner look like a jabroni either. But I just thought it was a really good starting part of the match, of the show actually. And then we had another promo from Charlotte. By the way, and I know this is going to upset some people, but people don't give credit to Charlotte for how good she actually is on the mic. She's getting it, man. She may not be her dad on the mic, but she's doing her own thing.
Woo! Yeah. Thank you, Josh. And I really want you to say that again with Mitchell McNeil now that he's observing this, because once again, Brother Carter, he knows what's up.
Oh my God. I just want to read a couple lines here from a promo that Charlotte cut last night. Make sure you go check it out on NXT. It's one of the best promos of the show. Here you go. It says, it feels good to call your shot. A lot of women talk a big game, but no one at the WWE backs it up like me. Rhea Ripley, she was a challenge. She is, mark my word, the future. But I'm not going to apologize for my greatness. Winning the NXT Women's Championship is going to solidify my legacy because I'm going to do what no one has done before, and that is dominate 3 different eras of sports entertainment: the past, the present, and the future. I dominated the generation before me. That's true. I beat Natty to win the NXT title. I ended Nikki Bella's historic title reign. I even beat Paige, who at the time, and I agree with the segment. I thought, me personally, Joshie speaking, I thought Paige was the best female wrestler in the world after AJ Lee left. And then he had, she said here, Trish Stratus, a legend, even wanted to come back to see if she still had it. Of course she didn't. By the way, that Trish Charlotte match, that was probably one of my favorite matches from last year, pay-per-view wise. That match at SummerSlam was awesome. And then finally, she had this right here. After I beat every single person at NXT, there will be no debate, no conversation, no doubt. It is simply fact that Charlotte Flair is the greatest of all time, past, present, and future. Woo! Oh, man.
Yes.
Matt, I'm sure you do have your thoughts about that.
and again, give me somebody that is who's better. Give me somebody. You can argue Becky Lynch, fine. You can argue.
What are we talking about? Ring or just overall? What like the overall?
To me, overall package. It's. I would put Charlotte up there with Becky, but other than that, or Becky up there with Charlotte, but other than that, I mean, who? Asuka, maybe.
Awesome.
I love Asuka too. But Also, who ended Asuka's undefeated streak?
Charlotte. You got good points. I'll tell you this right now. Charlotte, in-ring wise, is the best female wrestler in the world. That's not taking a slide at Tessa Blanchard because I really like watching her perform in Impact. And even though they don't do anything with her being the world champion.
Is she still their world champion?
Yes, yeah. Yes, I'm still one of the surviving folks that cover Impact Wrestling every single week.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother. It's okay. Hold on. Let me ask you: is there anybody, Tessa Blanchard? I know we're kind of getting sidetracked here, but who in NXT, who in Impact is worth watching? Because I see some. I subscribe to the Impact YouTube channel, and occasionally when their clips pop up, it's like RVD, Rhino, Tommy Dreamer, Scott Steiner. Like, who is there? People like, who are they building the brand around? Is Moose still there? Like,
yes, Moose is still there.
Okay.
Moose has this thing now in TNA where oh my god, it's TNA. He has this thing in Impact Wrestling where he hates what TNA represents. He calls himself Mr. Impact Wrestling. That's his new gimmick. So he just beats up random jobbers from TNA's past. I think they brought Kid Cash a couple weeks ago. They even brought Hernandez on television.
And I remember because I watched TNA in the late 2000s. And I actually there was some talent there I really liked. Like, I liked Hernandez and Homicide. I
was a big Magnus fan.
I liked Magnus. I liked Crimson.
Yes.
Was it Red Crimson or
Crimson? Yeah, just Crimson. Yeah.
Crimson, yeah, I liked him. I actually didn't mind Abyss.
I liked Abyss.
Beer
Money.
Who?
Beer Money.
I like Beer Money too. I mean, Bobby Roode's come out, and they really haven't done a lot with him. But James, I liked Bobby Roode and James Storm. I liked, when they were doing the whole, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. They came from there. Like, TNA had a pretty good roster in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Jay Lethal. I really liked Jay Lethal.
Hey man, you got don't forget one of the best segments in wrestling lore in the last 10-15 years is him and Ric Flair going back and forth.
Incredible. That was amazing. And Lethal did, like, when he did the Black Machismo gimmick, but because his Macho Man is pretty unbelievable too.
Didn't Kevin Nash have like some paparazzi thing where the X-Division characters would have a gimmick and they're trying to show their personality and they did a bunch of weird skits? I think that's when Russo was writing. Hey, I'm not putting this on Vince. I'm talking about what was the pitfall from TNA where it can bring this back full circle to AEW?
Probably they're relying too much on WWE talent and they didn't support their own stuff. They didn't, because the older WWE talent didn't have great matches because they were old. Like they were just relying on people tuning in for the nostalgia factor, and that's fine. I actually didn't mind the Main Event Mafia. I actually liked that gimmick, and I thought
I was the Aces and Eights fan.
I was too. I thought both of those gimmicks were actually excellent. But again, what is it? It's old WWE guys the only superstars that TNA brought up were, again, in my opinion, AJ Styles, which that's their bread and butter is AJ Styles. I'd say Samoa Joe was another one.
Daniels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kazarian.
Kazarian, sure. I forgot he was in there. I'd even say I actually liked the Motor City Machine Guns too. Chris Sabin more than Alex Shelley, but
how about Matt and Jeremy Buck?
Jeremy Borash, who is now part of WWE's creative team.
Mike Tenay, yeah. Dude, come on. You don't like Mike Tenay?
Remember the him and Don West's thing?
Oh my god,
that was terrible. That was terrible.
I like Taz commentary on AEW. I did not like Taz's commentary at TNA. I'll just say that.
But
anyways,
go back to my original question.
Yeah,
who in Impact is worth watching?
Michael Elgin. That's my pick. Michael Elgin is probably the most underrated wrestler that's not WWE or AEW related. This dude can do anything. I'm a sucker for strong style wrestling, and I love what he did in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Michael Elgin's just fucking awesome. You still got Eddie Edwards around, who's good. Sammy Callahan is a popular wrestler, but he's in like this weird. He's doing a modernized version of the hacker gimmick he was supposed to do in NXT. He's doing that right now. But guess who he's feuding with right now? Ken Shamrock. He's feuding with Ken Shamrock.
Why?
I'll never understand that, man. And like Matt said, I like Moose too. Moose is a good wrestler. I like watching him perform. Some of his promos are hit and miss, but you can say that about any wrestler in any promotion.
Moose used to be in the NFL, wasn't he? Didn't he used to play in the NFL?
Yeah, he used to be the Patriots and the Falcons. Yeah.
Okay.
Circle this back to NXT. There's this other stuff that I really liked. They did a little nice background feature on Keith Lee and his journey to NXT, so I thought that was pretty cool. You had the beginning of the Interim Cruiserweight Championship Tournament, or the Jordan Devlin Invitational, which I'm calling because it's unfortunate for him that Trump decided to ban people from Europe and he can't come to the country and defend his title. So we have to have an interim title out of this. But we had Isaiah Scott against Akira Tozawa. Awesome match. This is a really good cruiserweight match. Tozawa beat Isaiah Scott. So they're kind of doing a G1 style tournament, actually, where whoever has the most wins in one group, they'll take out the winner of Group B, who has the most winners in that. And those two will fight, and whoever wins that match will be the interim cruiserweight champion. So you got Jack Gallagher. We'll get into this comments about the releases, but everybody knows that Drake Maverick's in it. Yeah. You have El Hijo del Fantasma. That's his actual wrestler name, but I remember him as King Cuerno in Lucha Underground, so that's why I used to go by him. Then you have Jake Atlas, who's one of the guys from Evolve Wrestling and all these other indie promotions. I think I saw that Tony Nese is in there. Obviously, he definitely be there in the Cruiserweight tournament. It says Swerve Scott, Akira Tozawa, and I forgot who else.
Is Alexander in there?
No, Cedric is not in the tournament, but hey, it's a good group. They got a good group of talents in there, and I love the new presentation of Jack Gallagher. The dude looks badass with his new tattoo and stuff. By the way, speaking of good matches to watch, make sure to check out Jack Gallagher and Oney Lorcan for last week's 205 Live. That match was awesome. And then other stuff that took away from me from NXT, Tegan Nox beat Raquel Gonzalez, which was kind of surprising because I thought they would just have her steamroll through her. But Tegan Nox, underrated babyface that they want to push and stuff, so that's fine, I guess. And then you had I love Kyle O'Reilly, right? So Pete Dunne can't come to the States, right? He's stuck in Europe as well. So Matt Riddle has to find a new mystery tag team partner, right? And basically, Kyle O'Reilly calls Pete Dunne Peter Dune. I just think that's hilarious. So Pete Dunne decided to bring in Timothy Thatcher, who was one of the big signings that you heard on backstage, right?
Right.
Very talented wrestler, wrestled in MLW and other promotions around the world. And he was Matt Riddle's tag team partner, and they had a really good match with Undisputed Era last night at NXT. Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher are still your tag team champions. For those who are confused with this scenario, William Regal did say once Pete Dunne comes back, it would just go back to him and Matt Riddle being champions if they were champions in this time. Yeah.
Cool, because this, and I actually like this, both this and the interim cruiserweight champion, because it sets up stories that you can go any direction. You know, what if Matt Riddle and them lose the tag team titles? You know, then what? Pete Dunne comes back and says, "Well, I never lost my title. What? How is that fair?" You know, and it really is. They're doing their best to try to make the best out of a bad situation.
Right.
Anyway, and I think that's great.
Yeah, so I really like the match layout they had with those two there. It wasn't Kyle O'Reilly, it was Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong, so it was nice that they switch it up a little bit. Adam Cole's still on his nobody deserves to challenge him. He has a point to a certain extent. I mean, Adam Cole is that good. But
he's going to get Velveteen Dream at some point.
Eventually, yeah. But here's the thing, though. Here's the twist. Since Walter's not around and we can't have this, I was really, really pumped for this NXT UK TakeOver Dublin show that they were going to do. It was actually supposed to be a week from this Sunday, but obviously that's not going to happen due to the pandemic, right? And it didn't happen. So Finn Balor's actually confronted the Dream last night on NXT because Dream called Adam Cole the greatest NXT champion of all time. And Finn Balor's like, when you talk about the greatest NXT champion of all time, you're looking at him. So Velveteen Dream is going to be fighting Finn Balor next week.
Oh, that's going to
be it looks like either it'd be a number one contenders match or maybe both guys fight Adam Cole for the NXT title. So,
by the way, Finn Balor back to NXT was one of the best things that could have happened to him. He is just a perfect fit for him and getting to work with, because they can, they all recognize, I would think, that Balor was the first ever Universal Champion. Like, they understand that Balor, if they need him at a moment's notice, they can throw him into anything on Raw or SmackDown as a heel. And but the heel pool is pretty deep on both shows right now, so you don't really need it. But I think Finn Balor at NXT was a great move.
Here's a question for you, Brett Card. Do you like Johnny Gargano better as a heel or a babyface? Because I thought to a certain point last year, I thought Johnny wrestling would be a little bit more phony as a babyface.
And actually, I disagree. I like Johnny Gargano as a babyface more than I do a heel. But I will say, it's pretty cool how they've taken this whole rivalry and made it full circle. Because at any time, Gargano can say, well, Ciampa, this is all your fault. You started, and,
exactly.
You turned on me, and then Gargano. So it's great because, yes, Gargano is the heel, but he's the heel that you can understand why he did it. Because, Ciampa started this, and I finished it. And you know how Triple H has said that this rivalry is over? This rivalry is never gonna. This is gonna go on. Once you get back into, because I think you can. Once we get back to fans being, then you can have Ciampa attack Gargano and it's like Triple H said this was done. We're like, this was done in the Performance Center. We are, now that people are back, this is not over. This isn't over till I say it's over. And eventually you need to have, and I think that needs to happen when it's time for either one or both of them to move to Raw or SmackDown.
Right.
Because then, it's a lose. You can do the loser leaves NXT match, but this time for real.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, because it would make sense for Ciampa to go up to Raw or something and just do his thing for a couple years. Right.
Then, the only thing I worry about with
I don't know how many takeover matches you could do with Ciampa and Gargano. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you can do one more, at least when everything gets back to normal.
What, Hell in the Cell?
Has there ever been a Hell in a Cell match in an NXT event?
I think they were going to do Hell in the Cell if there was actually
why don't we put, because they're really pushing NXT as the third brand. If we have fans back by October, why not put Ciampa and Gargano inside Hell in a Cell at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view?
Why can't NXT use the Elimination Chamber?
Exactly. Yeah. Why not? Absolutely. There's so many possibilities with that. So I think that while Triple H has said this feud is over, I don't think this feud is over yet. But I like Gargano better as a face. Him and Candice LeRae thing as heels is fine, I guess. But I kind of like him better as a babyface and Ciampa as the heel.
Speaking of this whole scenario going on, NXT last night wrapped up with Tommaso Ciampa saying that he's done with Johnny Gargano and that he's the better man and all this stuff. Ciampa gets attacked from behind. We don't know what's going on. The camera is down. I like the way how this was shot. And this has been building up for weeks. There's speculation. You get these vignettes. You see little graphics of Killer Kross's face. I want to forewarn everybody: if he's not called Killer Kross, it's not the end of the world. His actual name is Kevin Kross, and that's perfectly fine.
In fact, I think I read that they're going with like Killian Kross or something like that. It's like it's not. What is it?
Is he related to Killian Dane?
It's not that, but it's something like that. They're not going with Killer Kross. In fact, let me look it up.
And that's fine, even if it's not Killer Kross. I just want to say, man, Killer Kross is definitely the game-changing guy for the NXT UK, the NXT brand. I love Killer Kross. I've been a mark of his since I've seen him in Impact and Lucha Underground. This dude is just badass.
Okay,
and go ahead.
WWE has released a new shirt. It's Karrion Kross, Karrion.
Karrion.
Karrion. So I assume that's Karrion Kross.
Okay.
So, but again, they didn't do that because they might not have been able to get the copyright to Killer Kross.
And it's good for him too if things don't work out and he goes to different promotions. So the name excluded. My bigger point is Killer Kross is a big gift for the NXT brand. And he's just an awesome, awesome performer. And also his valet and his girlfriend. And by the way, Waterfall of the Week, Scarlet Bordeaux. Let's say Raising Cane's Waterfall. Okay, there you go. By the way, Raising Cane's got some good food I haven't had in a while.
Oh, dude, Raising Cane's. Well, it's a staple down here in the South. I mean, everybody, especially Louisiana, everybody loves Raising Cane's. I might go get that for lunch, or because I already got my dinner for tonight planned. I might go get that for dinner tomorrow. See,
I haven't ate today yet. I probably order something to eat after this is over. But Scarlet Bordeaux chicken tender waterfall. There you go.
Didn't you one time try to do a lap dance for Scott Steiner or something like that?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. The Ring of Honor did this thing called a Night of Hoopla. You remember who Truth Martini is?
Mm-mm. Truth Martini.
He used to be a manager and he used to work with Jimmy Jacobs. Old school Ring of Honor fans would know this, and shots at Punkster Adam would know this about Truth Martini. Anyways, Truth Martini would be like a wrestling pimp in a way, and he would have these girls dance. So they actually, Ring of Honor did a special show called The Night of Hoopla, where it's just dancing and wrestling matches. It was wacky. It happened in the suburbs of Chicago. I think it was like 2013 or something like that. It was a while ago, but I remember this is big time because this is when Maria started dating Mike Kanellis and Mike Bennett. And this is the big thing where people were booing Mike Kanellis because Maria used to date CM Punk at the time, and Chicago National Champ CM Punk, right? Matt, you don't know what Raising Cane's are?
What? Dude. Oh, man. Best chicken tender place in the country. Raising Cane's, no doubt.
And underrated garlic bread or whatever bread you want to call it.
Well, Texas toast.
Texas toast, there you go.
That's what we call it. Yeah, but that sauce that they have, the Raising Cane's sauce, it's so good.
Chick-fil-A is pretty good, too. I had it okay.
It's a kind of a toss. Well, there's some people tell me that the Popeyes chicken sandwich is amazing. I've never had it actually.
I had it once. It's good.
It's good. I don't know how, because I really like the Chick-fil-A one. Maybe that's what I'll go do is go get the Popeye chicken sandwich just to see.
You know what? Casey Catanzaro from NXT kind of reminds me of a Popeye's chicken sandwich, but that's let's say that for the pipe bomb. We'll have another full list of waterfalls. All right.
Let's go. We should probably get into it pretty soon, shouldn't we?
No, we're going to do it right now. You see right here, Matt said future episode we can do is the fall of TNA. All right, let's get to this. We're an hour in. We're about to wrap the show up in a couple minutes. We're gonna talk about what happened yesterday and these unfortunate cuts that went down for the WWE. By the way, and I understand that there's a lot of frustration and anger just generally with society and what we're dealing with right now. And I can understand that all this is a lot to take in and digest personally. So people are just talking out of spite, talking out of anger for things they don't understand why this is happening, why that. What we're going to talk about here, I'm not going to say what side of the fence is right or wrong, okay? It's not about defending companies. It's not about anything else. I feel really bad for everybody that was affected by this. I feel bad for WWE. I feel bad for the performers. I feel bad for the business in general. And that's what should be talked about, because what happened yesterday was unfortunate and it should have happened. And it's not fault of anybody. Nobody predicted that this thing is going to freaking lock down the entire country the way it has. It's nobody's fault.
The world. It's locked
the
down.
World. Yeah. And it's not just wrestlers that makes what WWE is. You lost producers. You lost camera people. Lists of writers that we don't even know of. And I get it. Big Bad Wolf, all wrestling writers, is ruining WWE. But these are people that take time away from their families too, just like wrestlers, to come up with ideas. And all this stuff's subjective. And it's just unfortunate. People are losing their jobs and people want to make it oh my God, let's get this person on AEW. Let's get that person on AEW. I can't tell you how many times I saw that goddamn Cody Rhodes gif on my Twitter timeline yesterday. It's kind of sad and pathetic, to be honest with you. These people lost their jobs, and all you see in their comment section is Cody Rhodes gifs, Cody Rhodes gifs, Cody Rhodes gifs. And guys, Tony Khan's not going to hire you as a talent scout. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen.
Oh, I see. To bring him into AEW. Yeah. It's and I want to follow up with that, Josh, real quick, and then I'll let you continue. But
right.
Everybody assumes that AEW and Tony Khan have just an infinite wealth at their disposal, and WWE has way more money than AEW does. So if WWE can't hang on to these people, why would AEW pick them up?
Right. And here's the thing. I want to know from your opinion. Let's say you're in a different profession, right? Let's put the music stuff to the side, right?
Sure.
Let's say you were a sports talk radio host and you were working at a local station in New Orleans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just got let go because budget's got to be cut. People are losing hours right now at radio stations over this stuff too. How would you feel if you go on social media and somebody's already throwing a job at you that you don't even know if that company is interested in what you're doing? How would you feel personally if that was you?
I mean, partly I would feel that my first reaction is to be appreciative that there are people out there that think enough of my work that another company should hire me because I have enough fans and I've garnered enough support that another person in my field, another company in my field would want to hire me. So that would be my initial reaction, is just gratitude that people think enough of my work to warrant me getting hired by somebody else. So I think that'd be great. And I will say that I feel incredibly fortunate and blessed to still be able to work right now. I have a contract that has to be honored through the end of, the next at least through the next 2 months.
Right.
My contract is being honored. And then we're going to figure out what happens after that. But I'm able to work right now, and I'm able to do what I need to do to pay my bills and all that kind of good stuff. So I feel very fortunate in that regard. But yeah, no, Josh, my initial reaction would be just that of gratitude that somebody would think enough of my work to cause me to be hired. And then I'd probably take a couple days of just sulking in it a little bit, and kind of just. Woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. And honestly, I think that that's allowed. I think that in this situation like this, if you've been let go, you're allowed a day or two to just mope a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it's okay. You've had your time. Shit happens. Let's go. What are we going to do about it? And kind of thing. So that's what I would do.
I guess what bothers me is that, and we talked about a little bit about this last week, we need to stop acting like we're life decision makers for these performers.
Right.
And that's what bothers me about this. Let these talents cope with what's going on here. You don't know what talents are dealing with other family members that have the virus right now. You don't know if that's what they're going through.
Right.
It's a shitty time. And We got the list here. We obviously, the big hitters, right? We got the OC, Leo Rush got released, EC3, a lot of the talents that you haven't seen on television. I want to give a shout out to Aiden English, who did a wonderful job on 205 Live and on commentary. Mike Hill has been a referee since maybe both of us were born. Sarah Logan,
I know.
Eric Rowan got released. Zack Ryder, all these years. Rusev. Rusev, everybody should be happy, right? That Rusev guy is released. Everybody wants him out of the WWE, right? So, but here's the thing, and I want to give a shout out to Hoodie for this because I heard his podcast last night, and the only silver lining out of this is the possibilities and the future opportunities that could come out of this for all the talent, and not just for them with what they do in their careers, but just the industry in general of where these talents could perform at in these different promotions, or if they get the opportunity to come back to WWE. Like, we don't know which talents are in the furlough category or just people that are generally released. And the thing is there something going on? Brother Carter, can you hear me?
No, go ahead. I'm actually, because I'm pulling up a quote. But I want you to finish because actually Tommy Dreamer, I read something that he said that hits this spot on. But go ahead and finish your thought. But then I want to talk about what he said. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think the opportunities are endless for the talents to perform on a different level if they want to join these different promotions. I think that'd be cool for them. But I just think it's kind of sad that we have to resort to finger pointing and all this stupid stuff that's going on. People are going after Seth Rollins because he pointed out that it's kind of dumb that during the pandemic that people want to point fingers at the company and instead of having empathy for the talent that just lost their jobs. The focus should be on the talent that lost jobs, not what's going on with the WWE.
Right. Yeah,
it's business. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you understand this part of life that this is a business.
Right. Let me talk about that actually. And I think that Tommy Dreamer hit this on the head. He says, you can't hate the WWE. You can't hate Vince McMahon. That is business, and it's big business. He says, people say they should stop live television. They should stop doing this. They should stop doing that. Think the financial hit WWE took with the loss of WrestleMania from merchandise, LiveGate, all that stuff.
Right.
Because if you paid somebody to paint your house and you have a contract that says, I need you to paint my house, and you pay that person, or you pay that person half their money, and they only paint the front side of the house and say, well, I can't get workers to come to your house. Would you want to pay them the full amount of money to paint your house? They didn't finish the job. So it all comes down to this: money and why this stuff like this happens, and it sucks. But this is a business, and nobody has a job or guaranteed a job forever, unless you're the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, or Triple H. But like almost every single one of those people that you have talked about, Josh, have been fired by a wrestling company at some point, and they rebounded and everything was fine. And for a lot of these performers, I won't be surprised if they see them back with WWE within 2 years, once things are stable again. Think about people like, think what happened to Daniel Bryan. He got fired from his contract in NXT, and within 6 months or whatever, he was back with the company. It's there. This is not the end of the road for some. Think about people that have been fired from WWE and have come. Look at the current WWE champion. He got fired from WWE.
With Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal, right. They got fired from WWE, went off and did their own thing, came back, and are now better than ever. Who's to say that Rusev, 6 months, a year from now, won't be back with WWE? The OC was really starting to get into their program with AJ Styles and The Undertaker. The OC was a big part of the AJ Styles Undertaker Boneyard match. So, I won't be surprised if we see OC back in WWE soon. Kurt Angle, you can bring back anytime you want as a producer. That's fine, because he was just a producer. He wasn't an on-air talent. So you can bring him back, and that's fine. Mike Chioda, my guess is that Mike Chioda will just retire at this point because what does he have left to do in the wrestling business? There's some, like you said, Lio Rush. Matt just said Deonna Purrazzo, which I think Deonna Purrazzo is very talented, and I think she'll be back in NXT at some point. So it's just we have to remember that, like they said, like this is when you make entertainment your life's work. There are no guarantees. Right. Entertainment. And I'm going to put sports in that because sports is entertainment. It's anything that involves people paying to come watch you do what you do. Right. I file that under entertainment. People are paying to come watch you do what you do. There is never a guarantee. Look at football. Like if you don't produce in football, you get fired. If you don't produce in basketball, you get fired. If you don't produce in whatever, you get canned. Like there are no guarantees in the entertainment industry, period, the end. And people are upset at WWE, like, how are you releasing these talents, blah, blah, blah. It's like, guys, we're running a business here. We have to lay off. And I hate how layoffs come to this because you want layoffs to be the absolute last measure possible. But WWE, as Tommy Dreamer so well articulated, and Josh, you and I talked about this before. I mean, WWE probably lost, and I have to look what the number is again, but it's like almost $1 billion when they couldn't put on WrestleMania because of promotions, because of attendance, because of merch, because of pay-per-view buys, because of blah 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 blah. The city of Tampa lost a ton of money in revenue because they couldn't have WrestleMania. It's like it's not just one. Like people are pissed at WWE, but what are you gonna do? Like, and I know and people can say, well, WWE's got $70 billion in reserves. They should be able to pay their people. Look, I'm sure WWE is not a debt-free company. They've got bills just like everybody else. So it's business, and these people will bounce back.
I don't think people realize how much money goes in and also comes in revenue-wise for WrestleMania. I know King HR, who's a good friend of Matt, who like he I think he has stock in WWE. I think he'd probably be better to describe like the financial impact and revenue that WWE has, where you think of WrestleMania is good or not, they're still pulling in big financial numbers. Right. And the thing is like, okay, obviously this is not the only industry that's being affected by this pandemic. People are losing their jobs in the NBA. People are losing their jobs everywhere.
Right.
And I'm an independent contractor. We had to close the tattoo shop until this social distancing rule gets uplifted, and I've still been able to make money doing this and doing the transfer. That's the only money I'm making in. I'm very happy and fortunate that all my money came back for WrestleMania. I this started coming back this week, so I'm glad that came in, and now I can save up for whatever I do have to pay for taxes later on this year. But the thing is like, part of me feels bummed out because I feel like I'm a part of their journey, just transcribing a lot of these performers' matches over the last 5 years or so. Get to see Rusev take that evolution where he was fighting John Cena at WrestleMania, or covering every Lio Rush match he had in WWE, or see the OC's run. I feel like I'm not saying I'm part of the WWE, but I feel from what I do for a living, I feel like I'm part of their journey, and I feel bad for them because it's a privilege for me to cover these talents and see what they do in their careers. I love this business. This is my life. I love wrestling, and these performers whether you think they're the greatest performers in the world or not, or whether you're indifferent or you're a mark for a particular performer that got released yesterday, they bust their ass. And I want to give shout out to the producers as well, who go out of their way to sacrifice time away from their family to help put these matches together. They deserve a lot of credit too for this.
Well, and a couple other big names. Finley was released. Serena Deeb, one of the great coaches in the Performance Center. Like I saw that and I was like, dang, like she is well known as one of the top coaches in the Performance Center. Like it's crazy.
Right.
And again, I really think, Josh, that this is temporary. And I think within a year, we'll see a lot of these people back and re-signed with the company.
It's a little unnerving, though, when you keep seeing all these different reports. And for me personally, even with myself being in media, I take certain things I see from media with a grain of salt.
God,
yeah. It's kind of unnerving where you have people go out of the way to tell you, no, the country is not going to be back to what it was till 2022.
I saw
that. How do you know that? Right. How do you know that? Well, it's not even politics related, but the thing that bothers me out of all this pandemic thing, and I don't want to make this like whatever, but the thing is, like, everybody could come up with their opinions, their hypotheses, and all this stuff, but nobody's showing any actual data of how this thing's being eradicated.
Right.
Like, you're gonna tell me you have the actual estimate date where me, you, and everybody else around the world could go back to work? You don't know.
Well, sure. I mean, you have here's the range, right? Like, the government is trying to get, and I hope that this happens. The government is trying to get some states open again by May 1st, which I think would be terrific, because people need to work. People need to, in states that can, there are some states that it's going to be a while, like New York, unfortunately, is going to be in a while. I have a feeling Louisiana is going to be a while because of just how bad New Orleans was hit. But, people are trying. But then you have some that are saying, well, it might not. We have to do social distancing for 2022. And part of me is like, look, do you really think you can keep people away from each other for 2 years? Like, that's I don't want to speculate because I mean I can't. That's not what this show is. But
right,
ladies and gentlemen, check your sources. Please check your sources. Like, and there are plenty of wonderful ways for you to find out the sources that are down the middle, that give you the facts, and then you can make your own decision. So what's like, and I've got, and I'll just kind of tell you a little about this. This is a show about life, right? This is a live podcast, wrestling. I've got, and I'm looking at this right now. I've got 6 news apps. Here, I'll show you. For those that are watching on YouTube, I've got 7 news apps that I use. No, and this is where I get all of my stories from. I've got AP, Reuters, the BBC, which I.
Oh no!
Oh, what happened?
Sorry, but I accidentally moved out. So go ahead.
Okay. So I've got AP, Reuters, and BBC, which I've found to be the 3 most down the middle. They just give you the facts, and then you can make your own decision. USA Today is not bad about that. And then I also have both Fox and CNN because I like to see how the 2 sides spin the same story. And we're not going to get into what my political views are because that's not what we need for this show.
Right.
But I and then I've got my local New Orleans app here, and I just happened to pick Fox because that's just the first one I found. I could install the CBS or whatever.
Are you watching all the press conferences or no?
What I do is what I had been doing until the last couple of days, where it's just gotten out of hand, has been I would watch when President spoke. And then when they started asking questions, I turned it off because then it just became a political contest. And I want to hear, okay, this is what's happening. This is where we are. This is what Dr. Fauci had to say. Okay, this is them giving us the reports. But then when they start to get into the politics of it, no, I don't care about this.
I have to bring up the whatever campaign video, WWE style video package he pulled off the other day. I don't know what to say about it.
It was what it was. But let's move on because again, not a. But just all that to say, folks, check your sources.
Check your sources. To bring this full circle, man, and I'm sure Derek has the sentiment as well, man. The best is yet to come for all these talents, and
absolutely.
There's the saying, man. You only got to make moves if your heart's in it, and maybe. This is something where some of these pros may not want to be in the business anymore. They want to do something. You don't know what's going on, but my thoughts are with every single talent that's been affected by this, and it's sad when you watch videos from Drake Maverick crying. It's rough, man. So again, thank you guys for the entertainment, and this is not a eulogy. We'll see these performances again down the road. We have better times ahead of us. So
sure. I mean, look at it. Again, and go to AE. Let's look at AEW. Look, like Cody was not happy with the Stardust gimmick. So what did he do? He went out and started his own promotion, and it's doing pretty darn well. So like it's like you said, man. The best is yet to come for some of them, and you use this as an opportunity to try some new things in life. That's when life hands you a lemon. It's an old saying, but when life hands you a lemon, you make a lemonade. It's you take, like, these are my circumstances. I can either sit and piss and moan about it, or I can do something about it. And now, are they allowed to take some time for some self-reflection and self-pity? Absolutely.
Yes.
I think that's absolutely, you're allowed. You are absolutely 110% allowed that. But then at some point you go, okay, well, I'm not going to waste the rest of my life just sitting on the couch and feeling sorry for myself. That's not what got me to the dance in the first place. So it's time to get back up, get back to work. Again, if you're in the entertainment industry, that's every performer understands, I would think, that in the entertainment industry, there are no guarantees. But I agree with you, Josh. For all of these folks, the best is yet to come. And I can't wait to see what happens with them in the future. I think we have some really great days and moments coming ahead for them.
Next week on the podcast, we're going to get back into wrestling and get into what's going on for the Road to Money in the Bank. But we're going to wrap up the show with this topic, and I want this to be a little interactive. So everybody share this on Twitter. Matt, Derek, everybody share this out, because this is a topic that I've been thinking about since WrestleMania went down. We saw what happened in the Firefly Funhouse. We saw John Cena actually embrace the darkness. My question for everybody, and we can bounce back and forth on this as we wrap up the show, but for everybody watching, you can respond to me at the Hoots podcast. Leave us the reviews. You can even give us your response to this in the review section.
Of course.
But more importantly, I want to know if this is the real deal where John Cena is a bad guy. Who would you like to see in a John Cena-led heel faction? That's the question that I have for everybody right now.
Man, John Cena-led heel faction. Well, my initial response to that would be, and I know you're not a fan of it, Josh, but I think that they need to take the model of the Inner Circle, because I think what Jericho has done has been brilliant. You need to get some, because if you're a heel, you've got to be the kind of cowardice, kind of, letting your people do your work. So I think you need some muscle for protection.
Right.
So one of the first people that comes to mind for me is Baron Corbin. I think that, you get some muscle for protection. Or heck, turn Braun Strowman heel. Get Braun Strowman to be your whatever. So I think you need to get them. I think you need to get a tag team. So perhaps this is your way to bring back the OC. If Cena was to do this and things calm down, you bring back the OC as a heel tag team. And you let them do that, or you call up a team from NXT. How about Imperium?
Not bad.
Bring Imperium, or Undisputed Era turns on Adam Cole, and so we've learned what we can from you. Let's. I now want to learn from one of the greatest, a 16-time world champion. What have you done, Adam Cole? And that could be a way to get a Cena Cole match down the road, which could be awesome. So I like that. And then I think you need to have a young upstart guy that Cena can mold. So I think you need muscle, a tag team, maybe a cruiserweight, and then a young upstart guy to mold into the future. So just off the top of my head, I would say Baron Corbin.
Okay.
OC, bring them back. And young guy. Dominic Djokovic.
Okay. I like it. Again, folks, respond. I want to know, who would you like to see in a John Cena-led heel faction? I really think it's a fascinating topic, because obviously you could do a whole show on what an actual John Cena heel run would look like. But we have to start from the basis. Who would be in the group?
Right.
And my pick has to do with history. you said tag team. I have a tag team, but it's not a tag team anybody knows about. It's a tag team that would work with what's been going on with the current shows.
Okay. Again, I would love to hear that. I just kind of threw some names out there that just, first people that came to mind. So go ahead.
I'll start off with a lady because we got.
You got to have a lady in there, sure.
Let's start off with Liv Morgan.
Oh, good choice. Okay. Yeah.
Liv Morgan would be the on-screen character valet that would work with John Cena. The second one, the tag team. I want people to hear me out with this because this one has a heater, and these guys have been wrestling each other a lot on television recently. Sheamus and Chad Gable. That's my tag team.
Okay.
Because you got Chad Gable, who's probably upset personally with what's going on with his career professionally, right?
Right.
Great tag team wrestler. Kind of like a respect type of thing where these guys, him and Sheamus fought each other so many times, they probably respect each other. And Sheamus, he has history with John Cena, but he's also a badass.
Right.
And he could be that. I really think a Gable Sheamus tag team would really work. I really do. And then another guy has a history tie. We were there to witness this in person. You remember when John Cena was sitting in the crowd during the Cedric Alexander-Mustafa Ali Cruiserweight title match?
Yeah.
John Cena could pluck out Ali and say, I noticed his talent before everybody else did. You don't have to have a racial tie to make Ali a heel. He could be a bad guy and have John. That would be the young guy you're saying that John Cena could rise up and maybe the faction disbands or whatever, and Cena and Ali can have an epic match, whatever the situation is. That would be my guy there. So Liv Morgan, Sheamus, Chad Gable, and Mustafa Ali.
I like that.
That's my group.
Hey, well, and then do you try to go global, kind of like what the NWO used to do, and get somebody from NXT UK in there that could?
Well, if we're going global, then I'm just putting in Cesaro, and you have the bar.
Sure. Oh, I like it. Oh, because they could go to NXT UK and go and take out, because Cesaro had that great match at the NXT UK Takeover pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. So you could throw Cesaro. There's a lot of ways you could go with that, but that's an interesting topic. Well, I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit more for next week, but I like that.
Well, we'll definitely get more on this next week on the Hoots podcast, but shut up, man. I appreciate it. Matt said Cena, Owen, Cesaro, and Shayna Baszler. That's not a bad group either.
Oh, man.
I think with my faction, it's based on current product and how I think a faction would work in what we have right now.
Sure.
And Cesaro has history with John Cena. Cesaro has history with Ali. He has history with Sheamus as the bar tag team. I just think it would work. I think it's really a fascinating conversation, and we'll definitely hit on it as the weeks go on, and then we'll get into Money in the Bank as well. So,
yep.
I also want to say that I thought Raw was pretty decent this week as well. We don't need to break that down right now, but I thought Raw was pretty decent as well.
It was a good show. SmackDown was a good show. I'm excited for the Bray Wyatt Braun Strowman program.
I love how Braun was like, I thought that was pretty cool. I said that.
I'm excited for that program. I think that's going to be great. And Asuka continues to just kill it every single week. She is phenomenal.
Well, I think it's kind of sad that Courtney Love is throwing Sasha Banks to the wolves now. She's using Sasha as a sacrificial lamb, but obviously there's a bigger story behind this, and we'll eventually they'll feud each other and be awesome. So. Yep. We're gonna wrap on that note. We're gonna wrap things up. Again, I want to send my condolences out to the Fink family. It's just very sad to see that go down, and also my thoughts with everybody that got released yesterday. And brighter days are ahead of us. And I want to thank you, of course, Brett Carter, for coming on each week as you always do, my man.
Thank you, brother Adam. It's always great to have you. Be sure to check out my stuff on WrestlingRumors.net. You can also follow me on Twitter at Derek Stoughton. Instagram at Derico06, but really everything that I post on both social media sites is the same. So follow one and you get it all. So
Shout out to all our good brothers and good sisters who listen to the podcast every single week. If this is your first time listening or watching us, I do appreciate the support. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts from. Just type in Hoots Podcast so you never miss an episode. Leave us a review. I want to know, me and Brother Carr want to know your thoughts on the show and what we can do different and just where we can take this podcast going forward. Chapter 2 has begun, and we had an awesome show today. I didn't want to make it too somber.
Right.
And we mix in different topics and fun stuff like that, and we'll get back into our regular flow next week as well. So for Brother Carter, I'm Joshie. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com as well. And remember, folks, more importantly, be the authentic product that is yourself and only make moves if your heart's in it. We're out. Peace.